Hi everybody, it's Heather, and here's your 5 reasons to go against the grain. Yes, I'm drinking a smoothie. First, I want to tell you, you've got to know what to eat so that you can figure out what to eat when you're trying to not eat things like grains. And this smoothie has in it a few ounces of just pomegranate juice. Comes in a glass jar. It is like $9 a bottle, but if you've ever tried to juice fresh arrows, you'll understand why. A little bit of almond milk, or if you have 100% grass-fed raw milk, then you can use that. Fresh strawberries, fresh blueberries. If I had a ripe banana, I would have thrown that in there, but my bananas are still ripening under my full spectrum bulbs. A heaping teaspoon of maca root powder, an adaptogen that is going to help nourish my adrenal glands and balance my hormones. And a tablespoon of sunflower butter. I would recommend almond butter instead, but my son was asking me for sunflower butter, and so I bought it for him, and then of course he started breaking out in a rash. So now I'm eating the sunflower butter, and he's going to have to eat the almond butter. But those butters are full of minerals, and sunflower butter is more rich in omega-6, which is the more inflammatory, so that's why I say I prefer the almond butter, although most people prefer the taste of the sunflower butter. And then I used my Cuisinart stick blender in this lovely ball jar to blend it up. And I added some honey and some fresh grated cinnamon because I just read an article on Natural News about honey and cinnamon. Of course, it's 2 Below honey, and it's raw, unfiltered honey, so it's not from China that's fake, made out of corn syrup, and from bees that were fed corn syrup, and so really you're just eating corn syrup in disguise. And then I grated the cinnamon off of a stick so that I know it's real cinnamon. And so then I blended it up, and then after I blended it up, I put in about a tablespoon of organic hemp oil because that has the balancing omega-369, including the fabulous gamma-linoleic acid that if you have gluten sensitivity or inflammatory issues or arthritis or any of that, you're going to really want some of that GLA in your diet. So, and then I mix that up instead of emulsifying it in the blender. Because I don't know. I just have this theory that when you homogenize fats like milk and oils, that it can make the molecules really small and stick in your arteries. And I'm not getting that from nowhere. Other people have that theory. Okay, so 5 reasons to go against the grain. Number 1, back in the day, when people ate grains back in Bible days, they didn't really have a choice. They were starving, and so they ate grains. And they did a lot of things to get these grains to be edible. Okay? So the first thing about those grains is they were only 5% gliadin or glutens. Gluten is a general term, and gliadin is a specific protein in wheat. And so they only had 5%, whereas we today have 55% because people have selectively bred it to have more gluten so that it's gooier. Their bread broke when they made bread. It broke because it was hard, because it didn't have a lot of gluten in it. So there's your first reason. Number 2, they would soak them. And the proper way to soak your grains, whether it be oats or rice or millet or barley or wheat or even corn, if you would even dare to touch that nonsense, is to soak it in water and put a splash of apple cider vinegar or balsamic, but really apple cider is easier to come by. And the reason they soaked these, which is the number 2 reason you're going to go against the grain, or I'm encouraging you to, is because these grains have an outer coating of phytic acid, also known as phytates or possibly phartates. And these phytates are a natural defense mechanism that the seed puts on to protect it from bugs so that it can fall down to the ground and grow and sprout, which brings us to number 3. They also sprouted their grains. So once the phytates were removed, the phytates, let me back up, prevent mineral absorption, and they can actually deplete over time your minerals because of all the fiber that's in the grain. So if you have the fiber plus the phytates, you're soaking minerals up instead of receiving them in your body. And so after they would remove these phytates, making the minerals in the grain readily available to their body. They're starving bodies. They had no other choice but to eat grains. Trust me, they would have loved milk and honey and berries, okay, and grass-fed steak if they could have had it. They would sprout them, and what sprouting does, which also helps remove the phytates, by the way, and the soaking kind of leads to the sprouting once you get rid of the little bit of the water. The sprouting increases the B vitamin content, and the B vitamin content is going to also help your body to it works with the minerals. The minerals are like catalysts for the reaction, and the B vitamins are coenzymes for the reaction. So they allow your body to absorb nutrients. And some B vitamins, like niacin, actually help your body get rid of toxins. So like whatever that toxin may be. So that helped their body to actually be, the sprouting prevented them to be depleted of B vitamins. And also the carbohydrates in the bread, your body, in order to absorb and utilize those carbs, need B vitamins to do that. So if you eat white bread, you may have less of an immune reaction, but it's going to deplete your B vitamins. So instead of it coming packaged with the B vitamins, like whole grains or sprouted, it's going to not have B vitamins, so it's going to use the B vitamins you already have up. So white bread is out too, of course, and it's going to spike your blood sugar. Okay, so we've got the 5% gluten versus 55 is what they had. On top of that, they soaked them, and then they sprouted them, and then number 4, they soured them. Sourdough, you're not going to find it in the stores. I mean, you will, but it's fake. It's a little bit of sourdough, and then the rest actual wheat. So what they would do is they would sour it, and that's a fermentation process where bacteria are actually going to consume that 5% gliadin. Well, good luck sourdoughing your own 55% gliadin wheat. It's going to be an awfully sour bread by the time you get done. It's the same theory as like kefir milk and yogurt and cheese. People who are lactose intolerant, they can tolerate that because the lactose gets consumed during the fermentation process. It's the same thing with sourdough. People with celiac disease can tolerate if it's a true sourdough bread. Tolerate. Now, if it's a true sourdough einkorn bread, which is the ancient form of wheat that has 5% gluten, then anybody could probably tolerate that. But good luck finding all that. So that was number 4, the sour. And then number 5. So, sorry, let me get in frame. 5. They would eat their bread, but they also drank regularly raw milk. And their cows ate grass. Okay? So they weren't getting glutens from corn-fed, GMO corn-fed, nasty CAFO cows. They were getting raw milk from grass-fed cows. And raw milk has a bacteria called Bifidobacterium lactis. And certain researchers have just found out that if you have that bacteria in your colon or in your large intestine, it protects your gut from damaging effects of the gliadins in wheat. Now, gliadins, which are the glutens in wheat, harm our guts. Sorry, it's just a fact. What happens, okay, when we eat that, especially 55% non-sprouted, non-soured, phytate-enriched, whole grain nastiness that's probably GMO, but Monsanto isn't bothering to tell us. You can study that yourself. Gliadins touch our little lumen. Here's our intestines, okay? Here's the lumen, which is the tube. Here's the sides of our, imagine it goes all the way up, okay? Here's their little villi. See my little villi, okay? And there's little epithelial cells all over the villi that make our enzymes that digest our food. Okay? When gliadin touches that, it makes our body in reaction, in an immune reaction, produce a protein called zonin, which spreads out our villi. Now, here comes the food. And guess what? The enzymes, these villi, these are the big villi, and then there's little villi on top of them. They're flat. They don't make enzymes anymore, and there's big gaps in between. So here goes the food protein into our bloodstream, causing our body to have an immune reaction to any food. okay? But it's the gliadins that cause that to happen, okay? Now, if you are absolutely intent on eating wheat and corn, which they're the two grains that have like the most glutens in them, okay, then get yourself some einkorn wheat, which is the ancient unhybridized 5% gluten wheat. Soak it in a bucket of water with a splash of vinegar, okay, overnight. Drain that water out, sprout it, okay, to remove more phytates and increase the B vitamins so that you don't get a blood sugar spike. And then put a sourdough starter in there and sour it until that 5% gluten is gone, and then bake your bread and then drink it with raw 100% grass-fed milk. If you're able to do that, then it probably won't create an immune reaction in you. But remember, they didn't want to do that. They were starving. The Israelites were in the desert and manna was falling from heaven. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had nothing else to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now we've been deceived, I wonder by whom, into thinking that we love this bread, we need this bread, oh, I have to have crackers, I have to have bread, I have to have a sandwich, or it has to be in a wrap. Why can't it be in a bowl? Because we've been actually deceived into thinking it's this wonderful thing that we need, which is a joke. Okay, the only reason people back then, thousands of years ago, ate it is because they had nothing else to eat. So if you want your body to be able to efficiently absorb foods and digest foods so that you get nutrients from them, so that you don't have to take a million supplements anymore, okay? And you want your autoimmune disease and your inflammatory disease and your liver disease and your mental illness and your digestive problems to get better, then gliadins really could be the culprit. Try cutting them out, which is all grains. Go to glutenfreesociety.org, not my website, just plugging it. And he explains how all grains have these gliadins, but wheat and corn have the most, okay? So your body can heal. There are a few nutrients that help your body heal faster. Zinc, beta-carotene, like carrot juice. Zinc is in nuts. And B12, which you probably need if you're eating enriched folate infested bread, and folate's probably adding to mania anyway. So zinc and B12 and folate can help you, and beta-carotene heal in the meantime. But your gut, technically should heal in like 3 days, unless you're stuck in an inflammatory cycle in which you want to lower your inflammatory fats and go with the GLA hemp oil. So I've given you plenty of reasons, and if you still want to eat grains, then I can't watch my videos and, buy supplements from my store, because you're going to need them, because you're not going to get nutrients from your food. Even if you eat, like, organic food, you're not going to absorb the nutrients because your body is not going to be able to break it down. So enjoy spending a ton of money on supplements, and hopefully you'll just buy them from me. But seriously, I hope you just give up the grains.